Hey, I just got through hosting a really cool webinar. I wanted to share this really cool hack with you on how you can save 90% on your dev costs on an app. Let's say you're going and building, let me share my screen real quick. Let's say you're going to go build an app and you went to your app team and they said it's going to cost you $80,000 to build this app. It's going to take you 6 months, right? So just follow with me for a second. I'll show you how you can save, get this cost down to $8,000. Let's say you have all these different pieces, right? The UI, right? So UI includes home screen, other pages, login screen, admin page, messaging, maybe forgot password screen, profile, edit profile screens, things like that, right? The back end includes all these pieces, your core code, you maybe got an API, a database, some other services running, right? This is all goes into what's called your MVP, right? Your minimum viable product. That's what costs $80,000 and takes 6 months to build. Now, what do you do with that MVP, right? You get it done and you ship it. What does shipping it look like? You're sending it off to your customers and to your investors, right? Hoping to get feedback, hoping to get positive feedback, maybe negative feedback, in which case you have to go pivot, right? It's typical, right? You just do this big Hail Mary pass, spend 80 grand, 6 months, hope that you hit the mark, hope you didn't waste a bunch of time, a bunch of money, and hit the mark. And hopefully if you didn't hit the mark, it's small pivots you can do and correct within a couple of months and get a new MVP out, right? Here's the game changer, right? So you can go build a prototype. Check this out. What is a prototype? Well, prototype is really just enough functionality to be able to show investors, customers, whoever your target audience is, how the app is going to work in a way that they can actually touch and feel the app. They can pull up on their phone if it's a mobile app. They can actually start, toggling screens and step through the app and all that. There's no core guts to this app. That means your back end is completely gone, right? Your UI, you're not mocking up every single screen. Is someone going to decide whether to invest or not, or to purchase or not, because based on your forgot password screen? No. Are they going to decide based on the edit profile screen? No. Are they going to decide based on admin screens? No. Login screen? No. They really care about things like the home screen, the other miscellaneous pages screen, or maybe how the messaging works. You can mock all that stuff up within a prototype in a way they can actually still interact with the app, see how it works without spending a lot of money. And so what happens when you pare this down to just the core functionality you need in order to demo, what we find is you're basically building about 10% of your MVP, which means instead of spending 80 grand, now you're spending 8K to build prototype, right? So 8K, and it takes only 2 weeks, give or take. Much shorter path, right? So you do that to build out just a few screens, make them interactive, clickable, like home screen, some of the other pages, maybe your messaging, whatever, right? Build all that stuff out. It's only 8 grand. Now it's like options trading, by the way, right? If you've ever done options trading, you don't buy the security at full price. You don't go buy Amazon at however many thousands of dollars a share. Instead, you buy options for much cheaper, right? But here's a really cool thing. Not only paying it like, order of magnitude less, but this money you spend is actually money you would have spent on your MVP anyway. So if you decide to move forward, you get positive feedback. So again, same thing here. You go send it off to your customers, investors, get feedback. You're only spending an order of magnitude, less on this couple weeks, and you get that feedback. You can pivot from this point. Much easier to pivot from here than when you have a full-blown app. You got to go make changes to all kinds of things, right? So you make the changes here. So here's what's cool. You went and built all these things. Let's say you would have built these things anyways. What we find is that's about 20%, about 80% of what you build down here is applicable to your MVP. So that means if you spent 8K on your prototype, you will recoup about $6,400 of that cost when you actually go build your MVP. So now your app that was going to cost 80 grand is now, what is that math? It now costs $73,600 after doing the prototype, because you've already mocked up these screens. Those are things you don't have to do when you go build the MVP. And you've also hedged against any kind of negative feedback or any kind of major corrections that you need to make with the prototype. So this is awesome. I mean, this is by far the best way to build an app. If you're not building a prototype and you're doing this, you're spending this kind of money and waiting this kind of time to hope that this is positive and that you get results, you're making a big mistake. You really need to look at building a prototype, go through this path, spend way less, get feedback, be able to do much easier pivots down here when it's a very small scale. And then you build your MVP and you have a high likelihood of success. Highly recommend. If you would like to get in touch with us to discuss any more of this, feel free to reach out to us. My contact info link is here on the video, but love to talk to you about building a prototype. whoever you work with, agency, developer, whatever, make sure they're doing prototypes. Thanks.